So here we go, a brand new patch is out for Cities Skylines 2, known as the Decorators Patch. So we're going to take a deep dive into all the new decorations available in the decorations menu. We're also going to have a little chat about the homeless bug, which has been causing lots of problems through our cities. So that has been fixed, and there's some more information about how that is going to affect your city as well. And there's been quite a lot of fixes and updates in this patch that we'll just pick out a couple of those that I think will affect most people, and I'll just cover those as well. So let's dive into new Brewburgh, and I can show you what is new in this fantastic Decorators patch. So for those of you that have used mods or the developer menu, you know you can grab all of the assets and props in the game that way. But for those of you playing on vanilla or later on console, we now have an extra option. If we go to the landscaping tab down here, we have all these extra items that have been added at the end. Some of these at the left-hand side are from props that I'm using, but starting from the nature tab, we have access to a whole load of props. Also, you'll notice I can now scroll in this menu, which is absolutely brilliant. It's been a right pain having to click on these teeny tiny little dots, particularly if there's a lot of them. But we have access to all of these. We'll take a look at these in detail in a moment. But we've got nature, which gives access to 33 props. We then have the park menu, which gives access to 35 props. And I love the way these are organized as well, which is fantastic. The potted plants, which gives you access to 30 different props. Then we've got residential, industrial, and commercial, which, I mean, there's a whole load in here as well. So residential is 84. I believe industrial is sort of 49, 50, something like that. There's a whole load in there. Commercial is 25 different props. Then we have debris, which is 29 different props. And then we have decals, which gives you 13 different props. So let's just find a blank spot in our city that you may wish to decorate. So I've got this little area here set up as a park. Actually, let's take this here. Untouched, unsullied area, totally blank. So we can just dive into our park props and we can just start placing these down. Right click to rotate, place them down like so. And you can click on these and we get an unknown element type. I am doing the pre-release version, so any little things you spot, don't worry about that. But yeah, you can relocate these if you wish, and you can delete them or you can follow them. So just a normal delete. There we go. And they are removed. So that can be put anywhere down here. Now, if you put some surfaces in, you can place on top of surfaces. So I'm going to use a mod here just to add a few little surfaces in. We'll just plop in some grass. There we go. Excellent. And we go back into this menu. We'll grab the bench and we can quite happily place that over the top, which is great. We can stick a bin next to it. We've got a large fountain, all sorts of things you can do. Now, one thing you might notice, something you can't do. Let's take this bench and see if we can place that within this building. And you can see as soon as I get next to it, we get the overlapping items. Now, unless you've got the Anarchy mod, which I have, I can press Control A. I can anarchy that in there, then you won't be able to place these within a building. I'm not sure whether that's going to get changed or not. A few of us content creators have said that would just be a fantastic addition to the game for vanilla and for console players. But as of this patch, and as of at the moment now, there are no plans to add that in. If things change in the future, we will of course let you know. But if you take a little area like this, I've got a load of buildings that I've plopped down. We've got some spaces around it that we could do something with. So we can just pop into this menu and decide what we're going to do. We could do some decorating. We could add in, oh, I like this. We're going to add some of those like this. I am now wondering whether what I thought I was going to be able to do, I will not be able to do. Was I was going to place, go to the right menu, a tree. Oh, it does let me place a tree over the top of those. That is fantastic. So now you can build little trees in pots, in planters type thing. Oh, no, you can't. I must have accidentally still had Anarchy on. Darn it. Okay, well, let's hope that they add it to the game. Well, let's take a closer look at all the different props that we have available. Right, here we go. Everything we have in the nature, park, potted plants, residential, industrial, commercial, debris, and decals menus. And if we just sort of zoom in a little bit here, we can see all sorts of different rocks. And the rocks do have a random option available as the first one, which I really, really like. So if you're just placing a load of rocks down, there we go, we just get a random one each time. There's also a random boulder, which is good. There we go. Yeah, you can see with that anarchy, can't overlap them. That's going to be the big thing, I think. That's going to be, you know, there's so many amazing props here, but without anarchy, wish they'd just add that one. We will see what happens as time goes by. So yeah, lots of boulders, lots of rocks, standing stones. We've got these faces. You can make your own cemeteries as well with these little, what would you call these? Tombstones is the word I'm looking for. And we've got some cans as well down the bottom here. So quite a few nice options in nature. We get to the park and some really nice ones here in the park. Got lots of seats, so good for setting up your own bus stops and things like that. Lots of we can't see the benches because of the flipping huge gazebos. Let's just zoom right in. Lots of options with the benches, trash cans, gazebos, water fountains as well. Then we've got these little kiosks and things that we can place around. Highly detailed, very, very nice. Ah, yes, we've seen a lot of these, haven't we, with the homeless bug? But if you wish to place some of these tents and homemade shelters down. Homemade, probably not the right word. Handmade, I think, is the right word. Shelters down there. There we go. And then some other little kiosks and things which you can add in a little stage with some lights and things, which is very nice. I'm liking those. Then onto the potted plants. I'm not entirely sure I'm getting the correct colour of these plants down here. These ones, they turn out as grey. Again, I've got a sort of early access version of this. I think it's about a day before you'll get access to it. And which of the eagle-eyed have you noticed that my city was in winter? So that's why the flowers and things were looking all grey and drab. But in the middle of summer, everything is much more brighter, of course, and we get all the proper colours. Yes, what a bonehead. My brain is still in holiday mode, that's what it is. But these nice planters in all various sizes, some sort of concrete, some sort of wooden, and you've sort of got low, medium and high and corner versions of those as well. So I like these because I'm just going to use the Picker mod, which is found in Find It. There we go, just to grab some of these. So these sort of things here, you can place them down. Let me right click, there we go, get that as close as we can. And you can do sort of this detail, which I like. I want to do a circle. Yeah, we're sort of making it as good as we can. And you'll notice as well, we're getting different color versions. I forgot to mention that. We'll go back to that in a second. So then if we can grab a tree, we can place a tree in the middle. Oh, my cursor seems to be freaking out. I can get the tree in the middle there, don't worry. Well, if you've got something with a small hitbox, you can place that in the middle, but you get the idea. So lots of options there. In the potted plants, we'll come back to that one in a moment, because then we're going to look at the residential menu, and there's we can see it's an absolute ton of items here. So it's from all sorts of different chairs and tables, goals. We've got lights, we've got barbecues, table and chairs, sand pits, nice little umbrellas. You can make little local parks for the kiddie winkers to be playing on the swings and the slides. You've got these, which are good. I like these. These are the patio sets. So we've got sort of 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. And they're all pre-built in one sort of item there. So you can plop that down and have a nice patio set. We've got some garden furniture again. Nice little play set. Swings. Just an outdoor loo, a little teeny tiny shed for your garden. Then you've got these pool patio areas as well that you could put beyond your houses. I like this one. This is going to make some fantastic parks. Then we've got some other sheds, some garbage or trash cans. The pergolas. Pergolas as far as the eye can see. Pagoda. I've pronounced that wrong, haven't I? Pergola. No, it is pergola. I got it right the first time. Because these are the pagodas over there, aren't they? These ones here, pergolas. Pergolas. I knew it didn't sound right. I think that's probably how you're pronouncing it. Yes. Thank you very much for all of your comments about my pronunciation. So these are fantastic. Again, a lot of people use these at bus stops. But yeah, you can plop those in your gardens around your houses. Then you've got a couple of little wall fountains as well, which I really, really like. Then we get to industrial. And yeah, with all the others, I've sort of laid them out in order of appearing on the screen. Like this in nice lines. Industrial, there was just so many and they were so big. Then we started off with the small ones over here. Sort of cans and props and little crates filled with things, barriers. We've got the cars. These come from the San Francisco pack. if you've got that. And then suddenly it just gets into all of these. You've got all of these humongous items that can be plopped down. I mean, what are these called? Industrial manufacturing decoration number 1, number 4. But these are great. These are just really large items which you can use for, I mean, you could pop these all around. I was thinking maybe some of the larger industrial signature buildings, we could expand those out. Even the small little factories, you could do that as well with some of these props. Brilliant. Then down to commercial. Not so many on the commercial tab. We've got chairs, tables, all sorts of things in here. Vending machines. Got a lucky duck machine. Win yourself a duck. And some tiny sort of newspaper kiosk things. And then onto debris. We have all of these piles of concrete, rubble piles of all sorts of mixed items. I think these are piles of wood. Yeah, you got these little stands here of pylons, large, small, medium, all sorts of size. I think these as well, you could put those into an area where it looks like somebody was going to build a house and then they didn't, or a house fell down, or a building site that's in the middle of being built or something like that. You've got all sorts of trash piles, rubbish piles along here as well, just to add maybe a little detritus to your perfect looking city. And then finally onto the decals. We've got over here no parking strip decals, got a few different sizes of those. Got the parking, no parking, disabled decal, electric icons, and for motorbikes. And then we've got parking, no park. What's this one here? Oh yeah, truck. Then parking, service, and slow down decals as well. So you might be wondering why they've only given access to these props and not all the different ones that you get in the Find It mod. Let's go into the Find It mod. There's all sorts of other ones that are available in here if we go through. There's just so many. Well, a lot of these are placed on the side of buildings, which is something they're not supporting. So vents, posters, you'd be placing those on the side of buildings. So anything like that, they're not given access to. Don't forget, a lot of these have been added by other packs off of PDX Mods as well. So they're available to you. They're not in the game. But that's why they've selected the ones that they've selected. The ones that would just make sense being placed on their own in the game. That is the official word from Colossal Order on that subject. But they are all free to place, free to move. Obviously, you can delete them. You can place them on top of surfaces as well, all in the vanilla game. Fantastic. So let's take a couple of minutes just to talk about the homeless bug that's been plaguing a lot of us since the last update. Okay, here's a good example over at my park. Homelessness is in the game. It's part of the way that the game works, but there was a lot more than there should be, really, in the game since the last patch. They were popping up in all of the parks, and for some it was getting to the point... Is there any more down here? No, for some it was getting to the point where it was really, really causing issues and problems. So what is the official word on the changes for that? In the dev diary, Colossal Order mentions that when a citizen loses their home, either because they can't afford it or because they get destroyed, they become homeless. If they can afford it, they will leave the city. So that's the first way that homelessness is dealt with. If they can't afford it, they will find temporary shelter in your city's parks or abandoned buildings, which is what we've seen. And that's where they tended to get stuck, unable to find new homes or leave the city. But in this patch 1.1.8, there's some fixes to deal with that. So before, there was a random check for homeless ones to see whether they could find a suitable home in the city. That's now been removed. So now homeless ones will always try to find a suitable home in the city. So they will always try and find somewhere in the city that's suitable, but that in itself isn't enough. It requires free homes for them to move into, and also that those homes are not filled by newly created households that are moving into your city instead of being available for the city's homeless population. So homelessness now affects your demand in two ways. It causes fewer new households to spawn, while also increasing the demand for high-density residential housing. Why high density? Because generally that is going to be cheaper to live in. So if you've got to the state where you're homeless, you haven't got enough money to afford things, high density would be more attractive to you. So if you've just been playing vanilla with no mods to help with this, it's going to take a while again for your city to work its way through all the homeless in your city to balance out the demand again for residential. A little bit like we saw with the Economy 2.0 patch, where it just took a while for our city to work its way through all the changes and get itself back on its feet. So maybe just leave your city running for a while, see what happens, and don't expect it just to be instantly fixed like that. But they mentioned that you can help the process along by fulfilling the demand for residential zoning and providing public transportation out of the city, so intercity buses or trains, to fulfill the two different ways that homelessness is now being dealt with. And there's also been some other fixes in this patch as well. I'll put a link below to the long list so you can read through it. So obviously we've had the fixed issues with homeless citizens. We've also had, just picking out a couple here I think you might be most interested in, fixing road tunnels generating noise and air pollution above them. So even though they're underground, they were still causing problems with your citizens. So that has now been fixed, which is good. We've also got the improved selected info panel of stops and stations to show directly whether transport lines are active or disabled. I will just show you that one actually. So if we come into our, let's go up here and do it this way. We jump into here, look at our bus lines, so we can turn those on and off. I don't believe it went red before, so I think that's what it means. And if you go up to here, it says out of service, and I don't think there's anywhere else where it shows it's out of service. So maybe that's what it means, that little red change there as well. We also have a change to some of the info panel pie charts to horizontal bars, so we can have a more compact UI. I think a good example of this is the outside connections. It's now a bar rather than the larger pie chart. I think we've still got pie charts available in some of these menus. I saw them. I know they're somewhere. Or maybe they've all been changed. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, it looks like they've all been changed. Okay, yeah, fair enough. There we go. So that just makes the UI a little bit smaller, a little bit easier to deal with, which is good. Also added support for the mouse wheel to scroll through the asset panel pages. That is fantastic. I've had a mod that's done that for ages. I can't just be clicking on those little teeny tiny things. And then a big one, simulation speed improvements, which is supposed to change how well your sim runs. So we just come out of this menu. Obviously down the bottom left here, we have the speed you can run the game. There we go. So we've got the 3 different speeds. I'm a relatively medium to small size city, 55,000. Some homeless leaving there, so we're getting a drop in the population of our city. But then you've got the sim speed, which you can actually see in the dev menu. So if you have that option enabled and then press tab and then go to simulation, we'll get here the sim speed, which at the minute is basically telling us it's sim speed 1. We'll then go to 2. There we go, 1.9, so that's 2. Then we'll go to 4. Then also you've got 8 available to you, which normally is only through the photo mode. And we'll do that. And that doesn't quite get up to 8. I don't think I've ever seen that, but that adds a bit extra to the game anyway. And in larger cities, I mean, you're talking sort of, oh, you can see sim speed 4 is going quite quickly. Larger cities, you're talking 250,000, 300,000. There has been a marked difference. I'll just mention some of those figures. Okay, so PDX themselves ran a test using the Magnolia County episode 30 save, which has got about 70,000 citizens. They ran it for 5 in-game hours on the 1.1.7 patch, the old one. So that took 8 minutes. IRL minutes. Then they ran 5 in-game hours on the new patch, and that took 6.4 minutes. So a change in the sim speed. That's great for larger cities. So more tests I'm sure will come out as time goes on. Please just remember, don't load up your city, run it on fast speed, you know, your big cities, and go, oh, nothing's changed. Don't forget your game has got to run through a process of dealing with all the homeless that are in your city, rebalancing things out again, a little bit like the Economy 2.0 patch. Please don't forget that. And then be disappointed. But I am definitely feeling in this smaller city things are running faster, which is good news. So I was going to give you some final thoughts on this patch, which they are calling, if I remember correctly, the Decorators Patch. They're not calling it the Detailers Patch number 2. Because it's not as big as the last one, which we obviously see that, but the decorations patch, they wanted to give us access to these items. What do I think about them? First of all, fantastic. I'm really glad that they've added that option in. That was one of the things when myself, Egg, and City Planner Plays were talking to Colossal Order and Paradox. You know, some sort of find it option in there, which they've given us to give us access to these props, is a great addition. Let people decorate. Everybody loves decorating, so that's good. I really wish they'd gone one step further and given us some sort of anarchy. Like I mentioned earlier, they've said no to that at the moment, with possibly no plans to add that. But obviously anything can happen. Anything can change. I think we're still going to push for it. I think a lot of you out there that just play vanilla with no mods at all are going to say, to fully utilize all these new items we've got access to, we need some sort of anarchy. So whether they'll give us just anarchy to put props on top of other props, to place within the sort of bounding box areas of, you know, all the different buildings and things like that, I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. But if that's something you want, give them the feedback. Give them the feedback nicely. They do listen. They do read the feedback. But we also realise that, and we're pushing for that as well. So yeah, I think that's great. And also fixing the bugs, anything like that is always good. So that's fantastic. Just one little rumour that's been going around that the region packs have been cancelled and all of that. I've seen it on Reddit. There's been a few comments. They haven't. They're still working on it, believe me. That is still going. Oh, that's a wiggly bit of road there, isn't it? They're still working on it. That is still coming out. And that is, I'm so super excited for when we get to see that. I don't know whether that's the next big thing that's coming or whether there'll be something else in between. But watch this space. Cities Skylines 2 is just getting better and better and better. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Please leave a like as well if you enjoyed this video. And I'll see you all very soon for the next one. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.